I'd like to call to order the City Council January 6, 2020 meeting to order at 7:02. All rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let's see, I think there's one addition to tonight's agenda, and that's the addition of the request for an airplane hangar out at the airport by Chad Hewitt, and we're going to add that to new business C, letter C tonight. Are there any other additions or corrections to the agenda? Wait a second. Morning. Okay, if there's no other additions or corrections, is there a motion to accept the agenda with that one addition?
I'll move that.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second's been made. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we have a presentation swearing in of Derek Hibbs. Chief, you want to?
Should I say anything first or just go for it?
Go for it.
Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Derek Hibbs,
Do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America,
do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America,
the Constitution and laws of the State of Oregon,
the Constitution and laws of the State of Oregon,
the laws and ordinances of the City of Vernonia,
the laws and ordinances of the City of Vernonia,
and the rules and regulations of the Vernonia Police Department,
and the rules and regulations of the Vernonia Police Department,
and that I will,
and that I will,
well and faithfully,
well and faithfully,
discharge the duties of the office to which I have been appointed,
discharge the duties to the office of which I've been appointed,
in and for the City of Vernonia,
in and for the City of Vernonia,
according to law
according to law,
and to the best of my ability.
and to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Service, welcome.
Welcome aboard, Derek.
Or Officer Hibbs down.
Yeah.
I'll bring us up here so you can sign both up here.
My reader's with me.
For you? Oh, yeah. That's right. Change the badge. Really good. Killed it.
Pinning of the badge.
All right. Here we go.
Very easy, don't hold you. I don't like to see our police officers crying.
Yeah, that's what my ability is.
Looks bad.
There you go. Congratulations.
Angela, Ryan,
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay. Mayor's report. I would just like to welcome everyone to a brand new year, and about a year ago this time, I was getting sworn in, and 2 counselors, and it was a learning experience, and I look forward to working with the council this next year for another year for sure, and I wish everyone a happy new year. So that's about all I have. Mayor's report. Are there any council or committee meeting reports?
I have one, but the airport manager is here, so I'll let him do the honors. I presume that you're talking about what was called at the last meeting, correct?
I can just give you a brief. We had an airport meeting and we recommended to allow Chad to put a hangar at the airport, and that recommendation's been forwarded to you folks for tonight, so.
Okay.
I also had a meeting on 12/18/2019. I didn't get a chance to go over it with our city administrator. Our schedules seem to misalign here a little bit, but some of it you guys have in your packet here. I'll just go over it real brief. A lot of it is in the packet. I did relay that we talked about getting some rock at the boat ramp to the committee at Anderson Park. We briefly talked about more stump carving at Anderson Park. I don't know if they're still looking into that or not since we had a change in leadership there, but here's some old business. There's some information only section here. They're still talking about the safety gates at the Vernonia Lake at the docks. I believe staff has a plan to move forward with that fix. So it's kind of an information thing there.
Could you expand on that?
Well, there's a section of the dock, I haven't physically looked at it myself. They say you go down on the dock and turn and kids could fall maybe backwards into the water.
So there's
Alongside the ramp.
Yes. And somebody had a little kid run down the ramp and then get to that. A lot of the people like that you can rinse your hands off there, the adults.
So a gate.
So what we're looking at is maybe just a couple channel cables that mountable, because a gate's probably real cost prohibitive when we looked into it. There isn't like a fix, most people just don't have anything there. But you can easily have some channel, like a cable that goes across.
How wide is it, Josette?
It's about that wide.
Oh.
Yeah.
So it's enough for a kid to get through or an adult to rinse your hands
What
off.
about a mounted spring gate that would spring and close? But you
Well,
could
we
pull it
looked
open?
into them, it's something we're gonna bring back to parks, but it might be not money they want to spend on that. Depending on if they really feel like it's a danger, like.
Okay,
A lot of the docks in different public areas don't even have the
rail.
railing.
Yeah, we didn't even have railings to begin with.
Right. So it's kind of, we'll just have to see if it's worth the money for them.
One more thing on information only section, Mike Snow had passed away, and he, for some of you that might not know, including myself, he ran the car show at the Jamboree, and was a pretty big contributor to the park fund there. So there was a question mark on who was going to pick that up, or if maybe they were wondering if staff knew what was going to happen with that, or...
I have not heard of any of the members like that were from the motorcycle show or interested in doing the car show. He's kind of instrumental in that, so I haven't heard of someone picking it up yet.
And we got a phone call from who was in charge of Jamboree because they wanted to make sure that that didn't continue, but I can't remember.
Well, certainly be missed, and I thank him for putting that together for many years there, so. Under new business, it's in your packet, council members, about bark being left in the park. One of the city staff came to the park meeting and actually talked about a lot of raking that had to be done with embedded bark from the falling of the poles and the logs for like the cables were drug over and stuff. And I did look back through my pictures, and not all the logs were peeled there. A lot of them did have bark on them, including the ones that fell at the end of the show there. So you'll see that in your packet. I think they're wanting to implement a cleanup plan or something for the Jamboree Committee. Another information only was lake cleanup development. They were or lake campground, development. They were kind of wanting to know if council was in full support of that. I know at the meeting, Stephanie relayed that they wanted kind of like a full plan before we moved ahead on that. And I think some of it had to do with surveying and some other things. And they also talked about music in the parks. There's a grant over, there's a lady in Scappoose, Columbia County Cultural Coalition or something. There might go after a $500 grant for some music in the parks. So we're kind of looking into that. They're real happy with the bridge cleaning that happened down at Hawkins Park that crosses the Rock Creek there. I guess it gets kind of slimy and slick, and someone on staff did a really nice job cleaning it, and they actually made a motion to recommend that we do this each year, and it passed 4-0, but I don't see it in our packet here, and they relayed that they thought it was a safety issue, so.
We already put it on the calendar after we saw how good it cleaned up.
The sign's still there?
We put a new sign and it's still there, yeah. Someone stole the slippery bridge sign, so I had to order a new one, but it's still there. Using different nuts, so hopefully.
And I can attest that that makes a big difference.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet, but
Oh,
I
yeah,
it's a lot better.
before it's kind of this slimy on there, it's slick, bust your, you know what, real quick, but, and the bikers probably could fall real easy, but yeah, I was just amazed how clean that looked.
Robert Bentley was there at the Parks meeting. He was our newest appointee, and he's big involved with boosters, and he expressed interest in bridging that gap in relationship a little bit better between the boosters and the city. Hopefully that can be accomplished real quick. I did talk to him about, he brought up the fact that he was there to represent the boosters. We had that conversation that we were concerned about before. I think he got the message on that. I don't think he had any kind of
Intention.
right. I think it's just an easy thing to say when you're so involved with the boosters in our park. So he is going to be the Spencer Park liaison now. And Jason Wheelock also took over Hawkins Park as the liaison. I think there was an opening there on that one. So that's all I have. Thanks.
I've got a question. Is Larry Elton still on the committee?
No. So I
He
think there is
he
one.
resigned.
We need to step down.
He stepped down.
I don't think I was there when he was, I think he showed up once when I was
He was the
gone.
one that instituted the bridge cleaning.
Well,
Did his part.
Did he give
That's
a
annual.
reason why? Because I just
He
appointed him.
he got pulled on with a friend, and then the friend left.
Oh,
So he's
okay.
kind of going on to be part of a, team
Oh.
to do something for the parks, and then the guy that brought him on bailed out, so he was like, yeah, I have too much going on.
Sorry to see Larry go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was too.
He's done a lot of volunteer work in the last few years since he retired. Yeah, okay.
Can I
Then-
ask a question?
Yeah.
So on parks, and I'm not sure at what point this is an appropriate question, so direct me else to another time if it's not the correct time. We had talked about the Web Point name that had been utilized when the bench was proposed. And I was wondering, when are we going to talk about that? What is that? I was thinking it was going to be talked about at some point, and maybe it was not tonight, not.
Talk about which part of it. So we clarified that we could do ADA there.
Right, no, I'm talking about the enumeration of it being called Web Point.
I'm out of the loop on that.
Okay.
I don't recollect
I think it's in
exactly
there.
what you guys said. If you wanted to talk about it, if we were letting clients do it, I don't remember.
I think in the meeting minutes, it just says we were going to address that with a resolution at a later date.
Okay.
Right.
I would like to have discussion on it.
So I would propose looking, can I speak?
Yeah.
I would
Oh,
propose looking back and
yeah.
seeing the method at which Webway was designated Webway and see how that was named, because I'm not sure where in history specific areas inside of parks, because it's inside the Lakes Park right there, where certain areas were
What about,
designated different names, sub-names, I guess.
what about Wells?
I'm sorry?
That was a formal
Resolution.
installation, not a resolution, but an adoption by council to do that installation.
just follow that?
Wells?
Wells
Wells Cove.
Oviatt, the monument for Wells Oviatt on the backside of the lake, it's like a
Oh.
monument.
Yeah.
So in the minutes, I said that the site came with, the name came with the site recommendation. Councilman McNair explained that it can be designated at a later date with a resolution. He noted the amazing work plans are doing and appreciation for the volunteer work. He suggests that groups coordinate with staff on what they need to do. So yeah, just kind of at your last meeting, it's not been formally with a resolution if that's your intent.
Well, I would recommend that we follow whatever the procedure that was done on wells. Oh, it's the code, I guess it's called code, and use that as a template. That means authorization.
I would like to understand how we go about making these determinations, whether it should be coming from parks or how the process is. I want to make sure that it's being done in a appropriate and equitable manner.
And Counselor, that's what I was going to just recommend. Actually, it came from just a casual conversation in the Lions Club, and that's where it arose from. It really hasn't come to the council yet. And so if we wish to take it on as a resolution, I think it should go through the proper procedure and start at parks. And then if they talk about it and recommend it to the council, we could deal with it then.
So how about at your next meeting, we'll bring back the 3 ways where how Wells was done, how Webway, and how like Eleanor Thompson's tree black, how those came about. And you guys can choose what you want to use for going forward. Does that work?
I'd appreciate that. I just worry about how that could go sideways quickly.
Okay, any other committee reports? Okay. Any topics from the floor tonight?
I don't know.
No topics. Consent agenda for acceptance, Park Committee meeting minutes, November 2019.
I'll make a motion to approve those.
Motion's been made to approve it. Is there a second?
I'll second.
And second made. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Consent agenda for approval, City Council work session meeting minutes for December 9th, 2019. City Council meeting minutes for December 16th, 2019.
I would like to move that we accept the consent agenda for approval.
I'll second that.
There's been a motion and second made to accept those 2 meeting minutes. All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
I'll go aye too.
Aye. Unfinished business. None. New business. 2020, 2021 budget calendar. Page 11 and 12.
Guess we don't really need an explanation. This would be the time where if, I know we kind of talked about it last year too, if you guys have any projects as council that you want to see come to fruition in the next budget year, now is the time to start talking about that so that we can figure out what the monetary value of that is going to be. In the past, we've always run up against where it's, oh, now it's July and we have all these great ideas, but we didn't budget for it. So I really want you guys to think about that, and I'm going to really hound the departments this year too, to make sure that they really think about what they want to do. Mostly it's public work, but just so that we're not coming up with ideas when it's already too late.
Also do it through your committees. We'll probably, I think our plan was to give them a blank version. with the blank column so that they could see what their budget actually is and comes out at, and then maybe put things in the right spots.
And I might actually attend those committee meetings just to kind of help them. It's always been there, you know, everybody wants to pay attention, but I think when it actually comes down to time, we just kind of, it doesn't ever happen. I will be attending the Parks meeting Wednesday to explain, but I think they're pretty much all new members, so I'll explain the financial report and the budget and kind of how it works and hopefully answer some questions for them.
So we need to appoint a,
I have a question here.
okay,
It's usually you, isn't it?
Yeah.
The budget officer? I didn't want to insult him.
So if
You're
I'm
both capable, you know. So, okay.
but we still need to appoint a budget
Yeah.
officer tonight, yeah.
I was gonna make a motion that we appoint city administrator to set Mitchell the budget officer for 2020 and 2021.
I'll second.
Motion's been made to accept our city administrator as budget officer for 2020 and 2021.
Can I ask you to add an amendment and approve the calendar, because that's a
All together at one time. Okay.
meeting,
We wrote the motion out.
Okay,
Insert name here.
before we appoint our city administrator, we'd like to, is there anyone that'd like to make a motion to accept the budget calendar?
Bruce, do you just want to amend it?
Just amend it,
Amend it?
the motion.
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion that council approve the budget calendar and appoint Mrs. Mitchell, the city administrator, as budget officer for the 2020 and 2021 budget process.
Okay.
And I read.
And there's been a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Okay, Parks Committee recommendation, logging show cleanup.
Looks like a good recommendation to me. I mean, there should be a certain amount of responsibility there. Yeah, I've asked a question at Parks, and nobody seems to know because Parks is not really Jamboree Committee. But I've always wondered if Jamboree Committee had a post-Jamboree meeting of what went well, what went, but we have no idea of knowing.
They do.
They do. Because I know there was some garbage issues at the start. We had a lot of people that year. I mean, I'm not saying it was a bad Jamboree. There was just a few issues that obviously, in an event that size, there's always room for something to change or improve or what went well in a Jamboree of that size. So I'm not sure if this issue had been brought up to them, but
Not the bark. So Chief and I attend the Jamboree meetings all the way through. And I didn't make it to the roundup because it was at someone's house on the evening and I couldn't make it. But we did talk to them about the garbage kind of sideline, to come up with a better plan and maybe have 2 crews of kids capturing the garbage from the areas where there's the greater population of people. The Main Street ones, we don't need to waste plastic bags and take this much garbage. Right, go to the softball fields and where there's people congregating and get that in the carnival area stuff. So we did talk to them about that. No one's brought up the bark before now. I think we could talk to them about having a plan to pick up the bigger chunks. I'm a little frustrated that an employee came to a Parks Committee meeting and didn't come to a supervisor to say it, but we're dealing with that. But we can easily ask them to pick up the stuff that's easily picked up. I think the little minute stuff, that's probably pretty nitpicky, but. The city doesn't really do a lot other than allowing them to be in certain areas in the garbage container.
Right.
So,
Well, I wonder if I might ask a question there.
Yep.
wonder how much of it was the added bark this year was the trees that fell into the,
Yeah, maybe.
or at least, well, we didn't fall the second, just the one.
The cottonwood, yeah.
Yeah.
I know that when we always played t-ball, there was always bark,
Yeah.
right? And from the trees prior, year before, there's just little pieces of it. So, I mean, we can easily ask them to have a plan.
Well, you know, you're not gonna break or clean.
No, but I mean, you could
They
pay,
should,
they could pay a kids group, high school softball girls to walk in a line and just walk the full distance
Yeah.
of it, and I think you would solve the problem. Give them some money for their.
The city doesn't receive much enumeration for this in terms of how it goes on. We have a desire for it to happen. But there are these committees, these different groups that are working within the Jamboree Committee, they should have that budgeted in.
And
You
that's
know?
easy, they have the garbage budget, and I'm sure we can get them to
Yeah.
have a kids group walk the
It's
line.
easier said than done, but nonetheless,
But all
they
the
should work
groups
on
are
it.
looking to fundraise,
Yeah.
so maybe someone can take it over and it could be their fundraiser.
When does that Jamboree Committee meet? Are they going to meeting this month or in
No, so They
February?
usually start meeting in February, and then they usually meet at the bar. So it's a little, we're walking into the bar at lunch and come out smelling like fried food without having drank anything. But they usually meet at all.
Okay. So you'll add the cleanup and the
Yeah.
extra garbage stuff, yeah. And then, if I remember last night, or last year before the Jamboree, we were going over the contract we had with the Hawkins softball group, and there were some things that we thought we could discuss in the early spring that might be helpful for this next year, so I'm sure
As far as.
That hasn't been forgotten.
As far as the cost to the softball group? Yeah, so their first meeting in February, and then if council wants to put that on their agenda to kind of come up, we can take that and say, this is what we're going to require this year.
yeah. Okay. We're going to move to C, airport hangar request.
Okay, so I have that staff report. You guys have in front of you, so the airport committee was approached by Mr. Hewitt at the December meeting and before this. And he'd like to build a private hangar on the airport property. The building permits, because the airport property is unincorporated county, all goes through the county. So he has to do that work with the county, the site plan and all that. The city council is being requested to authorize me to move forward with the actual siting of where the ground lease will occur. And then I'm going to bring you guys a draft ground lease. So I need authorization to move forward because I don't lease out public property without authorization. So you have, with you in your packet, you have the letter from the airport committee. It's the letter from Mr. Hewitt, and you have this plan set. And then something is going on with Vernonia geographic today, so you have a hillshade map that I made up with a spot, but really, the new hangars are gonna go in this longer area, right? So it's gonna be somewhere in here. We're not exactly sure, but that's where the new hangars are slated to go. If you look at that map in relation, so it's down closer to the seismic, and it's out of the airport parking lane, so it's following kind of the rules. The findings we have with the old hangars is they're too close for the runway. So all new hangars need to be on that back of that line, and so those are where new hangars are gonna go.
What's the ingress and egress on that?
For the road,
Yeah.
it'd be a new access. Similar
It's not in
to
here.
no, it's what?
It's not on this.
No, because I don't know exactly where it's gonna work the best to put it, so I didn't draw enough.
Oh, okay. So there'll be a new access road off there.
Yeah, gravel, yeah.
And that's all put in by the petitioner?
As liaison, do I need to declare ex parte?
No, because you're known to go to these, so you do whatever you want. Questions for that?
Mr. Mayor. So do we have a design standard for hangars out there?
We don't have a design standard.
I mean, I was just curious and,
If it could look like a Swiss lodge or whatever.
well, I mean, his plans looked like a hangar, but I was wondering if we had a certain, like we do in
No,
our
they'll
house.
have the snow load and the roof pitch that's required by the county, but not any extra.
Not
fancy
the
things
siding
required.
type or no brick, like we require on,
Brick facade.
on houses and,
Design
yeah,
elements.
yeah. So, but I mean, that probably is something for the airport committee to consider, so, into the future.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, that's up to their purview. They want to make them look the same, or they want a pink one out there, or they want.
I think pink was actually discussed at that meeting and overruled.
So the two options are no, or authorize me to site the ground and begin to draft the ground lease. Which we already have a ground lease, so we're just going to be making sure it meets all the things, so you'll see that pretty quickly.
So let me say this here, I'm the airport manager, of course. Chad's actually designed this hangar after the last hangar that I built out there, which is just a square hangar, really capable of housing a couple, 3 airplanes, depending on what size it is. And Chad's been a member of the community for quite a long time here in Vernonia, and he recently bought this plane that's sitting out there in the rain right now, so he's pretty anxious to get started and get a new hangar going, and I think he'll be a good asset to both the city and the airport, and we're welcome to have him on board out there.
So, Mayor, I'd like to ask the city administrator a question.
Go ahead.
If you want, if I might. Will we update the cost, the rent schedule for the,
Yeah, so the ground lease will have all the new ORSs that we need to have, and then we'll do a survey of what the current costs are per square foot and bring that to you guys, yeah, when we propose.
and what are the lease length of, it seems like the last one.
They're 10 and then they're renewable after that every 5 years, I think.
Okay, so that's one of the problems, is the length of that initial lease is, we're not short enough to 5 years, so that we're able to stay current on what we're getting out there on it. Helps that budget.
Question?
Go ahead, Councilor.
My question would be if this is a 40 by 48 and it's capable of holding 2, 3, 4 planes, and Mr. Chad Hewitt has one plane, is this going to be a sublease situation, add more planes, or what are the terms of this agreement?
Well, it really depends on, if he was allowing other people to be in there with his plane, it wouldn't be sublease. Sublease would be if he totally didn't have property in there and someone else took it over, right? So, we have not had a sublease version in our current ground leases. They're all used by the people that have built them. Do you have concern about subleases?
No, I just was wondering what the size so big for one plane.
It's not a very big hangar.
Was this your-
40 by 40, yeah.
Is this your hangar?
I'm Chad Hewitt. A 40 by 48 hangar is about as small as what you can build to get an airplane in. I mean, I fly like in Alaska, I've got 4 airplanes with 50-foot wingspans, 6-place airplane that would never even fit in this hangar.
Right.
This has to be a very small airplane to go in this hangar. I'm flying a Piper Super Cub, 1965. It's got a 37.5-foot wing.
Oh.
Door opening's 40 feet. 48 foot wide, structurally, you got, this is a hangar that's, you got to work to put 2 or 3 airplanes in. You know, and
What size is yours, Mike? What's yours?
Size of the hangar?
Yeah, in relation to what Mr. Hughes.
So my second hangar is already green hangar, the large square outfit.
Right.
Exactly the same size as what.
Oh, it is, okay. Yeah, that gives you some idea.
yeah, it's a, you know, my intention is to, when I fly for a living up in Alaska, and so just to stay current down here, and I love to fly, I want to go fly around down here. My intention is to have, you know, 2 airplanes. One that is a low and slow for hunting over in Idaho, landing on gravel bars up and down the Columbia, like a Super Cub, but it's a slow airplane. And then to have another airplane that I can actually get somewhere. My daughter's in school in Boise, like maybe something similar, like what Mike's flying, or maybe a 185 or something. So I can get 2 airplanes in there and then still be able to perform an annual maintenance schedule with, and have one that's tore down and do the maintenance on and get around. And 48 by 40 is about as small as you can realistically still get 2 tailed into the corner and get 1 out, and
You have concrete floor in there so you can roll them around and stuff?
definitely concrete floor, and then I'd like to put a concrete pad out front, just because when you come in with an airplane, you gotta push them in and out of the hangar. The concrete makes a huge difference, you know, you don't get them out. So I'd like to put a pad out front as well, just that a guy can come around, you know, park the airplane on and then push it back in. And that.
Well, it looks like it's right across the gravel road from Indigo Ranch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
About where the, is it kind of a barn or that right there, somewhere right in that region there, I don't know, wherever you guys are thinking, whatever the plan is, the master plan, but somewhere in that area, yeah. Yeah. And there's the ground there, the terrain is not ideal. And if you went down there right now, I was taxiing around with the airplane yesterday, looking it over, there's a lot of standing water. It's not ideal just to come anywhere into that area right there. There's some definite drainage and ground issues that need to be addressed for that all to be good accessible ground, because it's not right now. At least this time of the year, it's not.
What, now, are you talking about that, the egress and ingress of the,
Off the strip side, off the road side is beautiful.
okay.
Oh, okay.
So putting in,
On the strip side,
yeah,
you know, there's a couple low lane, you know, there's a couple spots that are ideal to start with, I think now, just because of the contour of the land, if you know, in that area. But that'll be up to you guys to decide where that's going.
where would you drain that off to, Mike?
So that basin there that we already have the culvert in probably.
Where we put the new pipe in across?
No, the creek further down closer to the road.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah.
And it's really just going to be grading, filling those areas that,
Well, is this the best spot?
well, no, the little square, that's what I'm telling you. The hill-shaped little square is not the spot, right?
He's looking at the big one.
The big one, this is the area. What Chad's saying is there's certain spots of this that are not good to try and build on now. So if he could build on a spot that's good now, that'd be the best. Start somewhere where it's workable, right? And then slowly fill in and adjust things as more people come and want hangars.
So just so I'm not mistaken here, this is the area that you've identified, that somebody's identified, that that's where they want the hangars, a series of hangars to be.
That's where the new hangars have to go, because if you go this way, the ground is, we've been using capital backfill permit to try and fill that in over the course of years, and it's got a ways to go.
Yeah.
Right, to the airport.
Just comment on it.
Go ahead, talk to them here.
Go ahead, Mike.
So we did an airport layout plan at the airport 15 years ago. And basically, I think you might have had an opportunity, but this is where the new hangars have been slated to go according to our airport layout plan.
Right. The question is that from the description that he gave, I kind of been over that ground, that I understand what you're talking about. I'm saying, is this the ideal place? And evidently you guys have decided that, so you brought up this all.
There's going to have to be some carving out there. It's an high area where we're going to put in, but he's going to have to basically do some, carving the ground out there, and maybe push some of that dirt into the low area, making a better approach to get into the airport.
I see. So you should be able to, see what I'm trying to think of is, you don't have a lot of money to play with, for in your budget. So any kind of, taking on any kind of construction operation and putting in.
Doing all the,
Yeah.
basically carving, putting the road in, all that. That'll be-
But obviously it's been looked at, so. It's the best one we got.
One more question there.
Another question?
Another question for you, Mr. Hewitt. Is this going to be owned by your business, or is this owned by your personal?
Personal. It's a personally owned airplane as well, outside of the business.
Okay, and my other question would be something I know, I see here you plan on living here for a long time, but something were to happen in your health or finances or whatever, and you had to liquidate this, is there a way that you can transfer this or sell it to somebody else, or is it just going to become the city's if you have to walk away?
Well, it's a ground lease, so.
Yeah, so there's parts in this longer legal lease that have those all determined, and that's what you guys are gonna have to look at in the draft lease. So if something happens and he wants to sell, and the city wants to sell that, let that sale happen, and that happens. If something happens and he leaves it abandoned for a year and nobody comes, then there's all those legal options in there.
Okay, so all that's coming then?
In the draft, yeah. So you guys will see it, Mr. Hewitt will see it, everybody will have to be on the same page as what's acceptable or not.
Yeah, I'm not building a rat slab building, if that's what you're asking. I'm building something that's nice, that's gonna have value.
No, I understand. It's just-
I'm not cheap. I'm looking to do this. You're gonna look at the building and go, oh, that's pretty dang nice.
I'm sure I will. I was concerned with your financial investment of at least
I'm not gonna build
$50,000.
something and,
Right.
no. And I really, to be honest, I don't understand how the lease works. I'm kind of curious about that as well.
Yeah.
What that looks like, and, if I'm gonna invest
Yeah.
$80,000 in building a building and it's gonna be pulled out from underneath me in 5 years, I don't understand how that works. But,
Well, yeah.
I want to do something out there, but then if it's a 5-year lease and how does all that work? I'm curious about that.
That's typically why they were 10 years, because of the investment, and it's not necessarily pulled out from under you. It's just, you have safeguards that assure you the right to have your investment pay out, and the city has safeguards if you bail and never come back, there's a process by which the city would just get that, right?
That makes sense.
So it's more like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So I can get that draft up to both parties pretty
Well,
quickly.
I'd like to make a comment too. According to the ordinance that laid out the ground leases for these new hangars, the new hangars were basically to be written for a 15-year lease, and the used hangars, or the older hangars on the second time around, were a 10-year lease. That's what the ordinance lays out, so.
We need to see that ordinance so that maybe we might have to change that.
Why?
Because we should. It's my
Change it one
opinion.
way or the other. Change this agreement to be 15 years or not, right? If we're doing it 10 years and something says 15 years, then I should be doing that,
Correct.
right? And if you guys have an issue with 15 years, then you should change the ordinance.
Won't sound like
Just
Mr.
bring it in so everyone can see it.
Yes, thank you.
Well,
But tonight, we're just deciding on,
You're just telling me to bring you a lease, draft version, and let us cite the right spot on the ground.
right.
Yeah,
And a copy of the ordinance.
yeah. But this is the only thing I need authorized, I can.
Yes, ma'am.
Are you ready for a motion, Mr.?
I am ready for a motion.
Okay, I'll move to authorize the city administrator to cite the ground to be leased and draft ground lease agreement with this airport private hangar that's being proposed.
Second.
And there's been a second made. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Motion carried.
I have a question. So Chad can have a pretty long process to get this through the building inspector. So is this approval going to approve him to take his plans and get the, basically, the process into works with the building department?
Yes.
Okay.
Because once they authorize me to start bringing the ground lease, that's, yes, move forward.
He wants to move forward with this.
Then I'll send that out to you guys, and you guys can make your determinations on the 21st.
Yep. Thank you for your input. And I personally think it's going to be a good addition to the airport and an upgrade. And so it's a good thing, yeah.
To help out there and do what, just to be part of it.
Yep.
It's something special in the community. It is. It's unique. I mean, I fly all over and it's really unique. It's special, and I think you guys should be proud of what you have here.
Yep.
What part of Alaska are you operating?
I'm in the southwest, in Bristol.
Oh, southeast, oh, okay.
So, Patagonia on
Yeah, that's kind of like on the southeast.
the southeast.
Yeah, down on the flow plains, not on,
Beavers, so I like
Beavers, otters, 185s, turtle front 185s. And a lot of guys had, a lot of loggers, they had their own planes, like what you're talking about, Gilbert sleeves and that.
Okay. Police Department, Chief Connor, do you have a report tonight?
I really don't, but I will talk to you a little bit about Officer Hicks. He's one that we stole from the sheriff's office, so I just wanted to make that known if I don't want to. Scott will be doing an article on both new hires in the near future. I think one of you is not going to be able to make the workshop for February, so we're thinking maybe picking a date for that between now and February.
What date did we have picked?
February 3rd.
Yeah, I am going to be in Albuquerque at a conference.
Okay. Hey, there we got something on the
It
team.
looked like February was pretty full for your guys' workshop schedule, so we could go on March.
Or it was going to be before a regular meeting, so you could move it to February 18th and just,
I think there's already one on there.
oh.
Nope.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I don't think there's a work session on the 18th.
No,
I don't have my calendar.
there's one on the,
So you could,
On the-
for February, it's a Tuesday because of President's Day, so you could put it there,
on the 3rd.
do it before your meeting.
March 3rd?
February 18th.
Okay.
Tuesday, February 18th at 6 PM for police.
Yeah.
That give you enough time, Chief?
Oh, yeah.
For now, okay.
I'm good with that, I'm just trying to accomplish.
All counselors can make that at 6 o'clock?
Sure.
Okay.
What are we talking, February 18th?
Yep.
Tuesday?
Yep,
Yep. 6 PM.
because of the holiday.
Okay. How's it going out in the streets? Pretty good? Pretty quiet New Year's Eve? You said, yeah?
Wasn't that, I think one arrest for New Year's Eve.
Pretty quiet.
It was
Okay.
relatively quiet. Surprisingly so.
Generally, they have been on the weekdays.
Oh, yeah.
It's not super busy.
I meant actual noise. It was pretty toned
It
down.
rained.
Rainy night.
Yeah.
I was like, sweet.
Yeah, I even posted that up, it'll be short because of the rain. Mr. Mayor?
Yes, go ahead.
So could you update us on the radar trailer?
Radar?
I have been seeing it out.
It's been out a few times, we haven't put it out every day yet. We have been waiting on a rock for the hitch, which actually came today.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's probably a good idea.
Well, we had been flipping the hitch over just to make it difficult, but it's so lightweight if somebody really wanted to mess with it, they could walk down the street with it. So we're trying to find a decent way to make sure it's secure. It's a big investment.
Yeah.
And it didn't come with locking mechanisms for the hitch, so we do have a ball lock now.
What about a chain to a wheel?
We have a cable that we can run to the wheel, so it's not going to go very far. Keep my fingers crossed. Near future.
Okay.
You see, we're trying to find good places to put it too. I mean, State Street's pretty good, and right down Ridge Street's pretty good, but you get up by the school, and now we have bike lanes that we're continuing with. And we can't block the bicycle lanes, so we're having a hard time finding a spot up on
I
that.
did really like it up at the school though, that one day on Missouri,
There a couple of times on the.
where the people park on the west side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's a pretty good location right in there. So long as we don't have a car park, come park right behind it, then it's useless.
Yeah.
It's just taking up parking space. So, yeah, we've been looking at good, reasonable spots to put it. And we found a few, but there's, where we need it up by the school, it's going to be a challenge to get it in there and angle that.
Okay.
But we do have locks now, so.
All right.
Thanks, Chief.
Yep.
Any ordinances or resolutions? No. Correspondence?
No.
Items from the mayor, councilors, and city administrator. We'll go city administrator first.
Okay. So construction's moving along nicely for Rose Avenue. We received $200,000 from the C. Keith Bergenfeld Foundation. I sent you guys an email when we got that notification, which means that the building can build the alternate flex room. We had taken the risk and cut out for the whole foundation.
Yeah.
And it worked. So the next step is they're going to get the roof on and the building envelope closed for the most part. And then we're going to have to start drying out and test for making sure it's dry inside. The interior and exterior door packages are being picked out, and then I have to go to both the boards to work on the color scheme, and then they're going to propose the color scheme to the council that they will collectively agree on for the outside, because it is already blank, so we're going to paint it. The SCA grant, so we're starting to collect bids for the street paving projects on Gregory, Umatilla, and Arkansas. Stormwater, the city's moving forward with the design for stormwater improvement on Weed Avenue. The future improvement will be designed to capture the storm runoff from West Oregon Electric, the Health Center, and the Rose Avenue Center, and send it to the Nehala.
I might have a bear there.
Because right now, there's a valve at the end of the West Oregon Electric storm that can be turned off and not allow it to go to Bear Creek, and then everything's going to go that way. Which is going to be good, because there's a lot of water that comes out of those into Bear Creek, and we're trying to alleviate that downtown flooding problem. So the engineer does the design and the permitting, and then Public Works will be doing the installation. And it's really just from the last manhole by the health center to the Nehala, because it's all in line there. It just needs to be turned off and going the other way, and it has grade to meet that. So they're going to do that design of how that last piece needs to go. Springboard Sewer, we have not received the cost estimate. They're still working on that, what that design would cost to fix Roseview Heights, Rose Hedge Court, and Springboard coming down through Hawkins, through Weller's property to Hawkins to the main. The design of having kind of its own little contained sewer pump station somewhere to pump that down through Hawkins because we don't have grade there, and then incorporate a bigger line. They're coming up with a cost proposal that they'll be taking to Public Works Committee and then to council before we kind of pull the trigger and start doing something moving towards that. Because those little units are quite a bit of money, so. And then I just have upcoming dates listed there for you guys. Are there any questions?
Council, Alan?
My question on the water drainage into the Nehalem, do you have to get permission from Parks to go underneath the trail? And what is the cost of the engineering on this?
So the engineering, that design is $7,000. That includes getting the permitting. So Oregon State Parks, we don't have to get permission to go like to bore under. There's just the access and an easement would be, there's a private owner that owns that chunk right there then. And we're working with him. He lives in California.
Yeah, boring could be a little spendy. Have you got a price on that yet?
No. That's what the design's gonna tell us what the deal is, yeah.
What if we have to bore? I wonder if Parks will let us dig it up and then repair the
They
street.
may too, and that was just their kind of first instinct on design. They may present both options.
You got a fiber optic cable in there somewhere too, I think.
Well, it's interesting because all those cables turn and clip the corner of the Rose Avenue property, and that was our concern in building that foundation was that we were gonna hit it because it really turns and starts going straight down the road.
Oh,
So where we're kind of middle of the road, we're not gonna hit that stuff.
oh, so we'd be clear of that.
Yeah, the bulbs are to the right of where we're going.
Yeah, I was surprised at how much water comes off that piece of property when it was raining hard the other day.
Like pavement,
Well, same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was quite a bit when it was raining hard.
surface area.
Yeah.
So where's the water going currently off that site? In the,
Off what side?
I guess we don't really have anything attached yet, do we? Into the
They
big
just
drains
have
underneath?
They just have the erosion, bales and the wattles and all that.
But we do have, there is water coming off the clinic, and it comes into Bear Creek.
Yeah, Clinic in West Oregon.
Yeah, there's a
They
guy-
first go to their retaining ponds, right?
Right,
yeah.
When those are full, the overflow is in this system, so we need to get the overflow to go.
There's a catch basin in the street right up tight to the curb right behind the health clinic, and everything was going down that and dumping right into that catch basin there on the street the other day when it was raining hard.
Yeah, so it'll all be part of that system going the other
Goes
way.
the other way.
And then there is a valve
There is
behind West Oregon?
between West Oregon and Bear Creek,
Oh,
Wow, amazed that was put in.
right? It's crazy.
Yeah.
Like Mayor, I did have a conversation with Mayor Carroll here, and he has, I'm surprised he wasn't here tonight. He was gonna present a plan to, he didn't need to, but to fix that issue with that rip wrap there at,
That will be February 3rd, the proposal.
oh, okay. He told me this is coming.
okay.
You lost me on that one there, what we were talking about?
Bear Creek,
Oh,
the rip wrap, it's
Oh.
on his private property, so he's gotta come up with a
Yeah,
plan.
he's
He's got
got-
permission to move it,
It's
but,
too flat right there. It was overrunning the other day and the culvert was fine.
yeah.
Well, where they put that rock in there, it's
Pinched it.
fell down into that, and it's
It's tight.
causing it goes whoop, and then comes up over the top of it. And Dale and I was watching it there during the high water there. Everywhere else looked good, it was just right there, and it was causing the backup, so.
Okay, so it's actually riprap caused the issue.
Yeah. It's just encroached on the bottom there. So you do the combination of that with what she's talking about doing. Maybe we're not gonna fix the whole thing.
Well, with the bluffs growing
Yeah.
back, being
Yeah.
replanted, those start to absorb
Yeah.
more and slow stuff
Yeah.
down in a way where when it was clear cut and not replanted yet, it was just racing down the bluffs. So there's combo. Hopefully we can put it off, having people have issue for a number of years if we don't have huge
Yeah.
events.
We'll be in place,
Yeah.
believe me.
Oh, thank you, Josette. I'd like to, part of my mayor thing here, I'd like to take this opportunity to personally thank our city administrator for all the efforts and hours spent in communicating and applying for the Burkeville Trust, and good job, Josette. It paid off to hard work and perseverance and sticking to it, and thank you. Thank you.
Good job.
I had one more question for Josette. Did we ever come up with your plan for your freezers? We were talking 4, we were talking 2, and now we got some more money. I mean, where are we at with that?
So we're still going with the 4 individuals, partially because it will save us some money from not having the compressors up in the mechanical, because the big ones have the compressors up in the mechanical lock, which, nightmare.
Yeah.
So we put in some, before the floor was poured, we put in some extra floor drains, and then one kind of that is right at the confluence of the 4 corners where all the weed lines can go in, the condensation. So we're still going with the 4 smaller units to save money and because it will fit kind of the needs, and we won't have to have, the big one goes out, it's a huge cost. If one small one goes out, they get right on top of it, fix that smaller compressor, cheaper. So we're going with 4.
I haven't looked at the plans, the details on that. Is there like a wall around that insulates so you don't hear it up in there? Or
A wall around what?
the compressors?
So there's walls on the 2 sides here. There would just be a false batting that is an aftermarket thing that you put up in front of them. So they're accessible and they're not blocked in for the heat.
Right.
But it's not a built-in plans.
I just wonder what the noise.
Change the original.
I just wonder what the noise level of those things are when they're running, so maybe they're fairly quiet, I don't know.
They're not terribly, they're very similar to the one the florist has in the florist shop.
Oh,
So I don't know if you've ever walked in there when it's on, it's more of a hum than a,
not an air compressor sounding thing.
no, not like that. Just like a hum, kind of. So,
Like a ballast on a light.
yeah. So they do have products you can get, the smaller ones to buffer the sound if it is,
Like a fiberboard or
the
something.
food bank side won't be a big problem because it's the warehouse side.
Yeah.
But for the cook in the kitchen, that might be a necessity in the senior side.
That's what I was wondering. I haven't looked at the plans in detail enough to know where their main hangout is compared to where the compressors are, so.
Yeah.
Sounds like you guys are thinking about that anyway. So, it's good.
Do you have anything for me to take back? We have a meeting, board meeting, senior board meeting this coming Friday.
I'm hoping that the architect's going to have color boards for me to go to the meeting and bring
Oh, okay,
to kind of, but that's kind of what I'm waiting on, is a color board.
okay.
I had one more thing on the senior center. You probably already thought of it, but what's something I find at work that helps immensely is get all the players together and do a box walk. And a box walk we call when all the outlet boxes are set, before the drywall goes on, everybody goes through with that knows the plans. Here's your outlets, here's your this, make sure it's, I want to add one.
It's not out in the middle or too tight to something.
Yeah, you forgot this, what about adding another outlet here in the hallways, there's nothing for vacuum cleaner, I mean, that kind of stuff kind of comes
Yeah,
up.
that's a good idea.
So that's just something we do, it seems to help later with cost of having to add more stuff and tear out sheetrock and stuff.
Right, okay.
Just something to think about.
Okay.
I've got
Yep.
reports. So, in December, you asked me to attend the census meeting, which I did on behalf of the city. Who's going to be the representative, because it's not me. You asked me to attend because it was at CAP, and I was happy to do so since my mileage was 18 steps. And it didn't cost any. So, it is a benefit to make sure that we are having everyone counted. They are hoping to have representation from local community members who are familiar with who lives in the area. so that we will encourage people to participate and actually be counted, because it really is important. It helps us financially. So,
My question is it gonna be like last time where you get it in the mail, and then if you don't do it, they come to you?
no. So this time it is online,
Oh, okay.
and
So they come to you if you don't do it online?
it's complicated. They're gonna pester you, and then they're gonna call, and then they're gonna door knock.
Last
They will.
resort.
Yeah, I don't think they're mailing out at all. And you can't, so people, this was an issue. Were you at that meeting? Have you followed up on this? They can't mail out to people who have PO boxes. And that's been a huge issue for people who are in areas where you don't get house delivery, where you have to use a PO box. So they can't just put them in the post office box, or in the post office. They actually have to call them and request one to be sent
To your physical address.
to your physical address, which doesn't work if you PO box, so it's a vicious cycle. They have money available to hire people to man computer stations, whether it's done at City Hall or at the library, wherever they want to, wherever the community wants to set it up. There's money for the equipment. Potentially, there's money for the people to do it, to help work with those who need assistance going online and filling out the forms. They're talking about partnering with the senior centers and the CCMH and the cities, et cetera. But, as much as the convenience is, if it's a cat, I suppose it's silly for somebody else to drive down there unless they're very, very,
Is that where they're regularly gonna be?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. I didn't see a follow-up to that meeting,
Right.
so.
I kind of hope not, because I really am tapped. We are losing another staff member in our department. So what my job was with 4 people's jobs is now going to be more fun than it was yesterday. So I'm not complaining about my job. I don't have time for one more thing. The other thing is, Wyden was here on Thursday night in Columbia County. He was in St. Helens, right down the street from the office, so I did go, representing CAT as well as the city of Vernonia, since nobody else was there. It was a very, very good meeting. It was full. It was, as it often is, it was not, he handled questions that were confrontational very well. And I was very much impressed with what he had to say and how hard he is trying to do his job. He's very much a proponent of providing assistance to rural communities and rural areas. And just be reminded of that. And he is very, very much, he said, I am not a congressman or senator for the city of, or the state of Portland. I am a senator for the state of Oregon. So, and that's all.
So do you guys,
Oh, and I will not be here at the first meeting in February. And I am going to jury duty tomorrow. Granted.
Oh, okay, so you won't be in the first,
First meeting of February, I will not be here.
okay.
so do you guys want to put on your next meeting's agenda to pick who wants to be that? Do you want to pick who wants to go to the census things tonight? What do you want to pick? Next meeting?
Who wants to volunteer?
Right.
And if it's during the middle of the day, I mean, how many people are available to do that?
What does this job entail? I mean, I haven't heard exactly what you do and how many hours it takes.
The meeting?
No, the representative. aspect to this.
Yeah, that's basically what it is going to the meeting and bringing back information to the community.
How long was your meeting?
2 hours.
When is the meeting, Susan?
I don't know, they haven't sent out the next one yet.
Is it once a month, once a week? I mean,
Actually, I think it's
Does it have to
gonna
be a
be,
council person?
no.
I never opted to do anything, I just go.
well, they were emailing out looking for mayors a while ago. I remember, right?
Well, they sent it to the mayor asking for representatives, is what they asked.
I don't do anything anyway, right, Bruce?
I see you busy.
How many meetings are there? I guess I should ask them first.
Well, there can only be, when is the census going out? There can only be one a month for whatever.
Yeah, I'm looking now, oh, that's great, never mind.
It's like a year-long
Our
process.
server is down, so,
You seriously want to do it? Or you?
Well, we're trying to network the computer days at the library for it. And we're working with Shannon, she's hosting kind of a job fair to try and get the people that want to be the door knockers from the community. So we're trying to do that.
well, good,
Already.
that's great.
Yeah.
So are you encouraging as her employer
Yeah.
that she do it? Well, I would nominate her then.
Yeah, I second.
Well, I'm not committing to anything until I find out when and where. How long?
Okay,
It's
yeah,
2
and I was,
hours and it's probably once a month and it's probably somewhere in St. Helens.
Probably,
It's
yeah.
probably not here.
And-
We're driving up a mountain at 9 o'clock.
No, it was, what
no,
was it?
it was at 2 in the
2 in
afternoon.
the afternoon, yeah.
Well, that puts me out anyway.
Yeah,
Right, exactly. which is-
okay,
Okay,
that'd be great.
One for the team.
Thank you.
all right.
And I'll be able to attend library meetings to bring information back here on that too.
Yeah.
I did have a question though. If they're not mailing, how are they going to get the word out online?
That, there, don't ask.
Because they're making so much calls that no one's going to answer.
Are they going to do commercials on TV,
Yes, they're doing, well, they already are, and they're sending,
social media?
yeah, they're blanketing with flyers about the door knockers and the
Right.
census people, but then they're not. It's very, it seems a little disjointed to me.
The last one we did in 2010 was mail. And I
Right.
You filled it out, you put who your kids were, how old they are, all that.
See, that's great. I'm sure you did it, yeah.
They're just trying to,
The only interesting thing, the reason that I'm so pro-census, and I know that there's people that think it's like they're tracking us or whatever. As a genealogist, it's invaluable.
yes.
That's the important thing, I think, for your future great-great-grandchildren to know that you lived in this town, you were this age, you did this as a career is pretty cool.
Well,
And
it allocates
It all takes
federal money.
right?
It is important.
They allocate your representatives too.
Yeah. So,
right.
Okay, are we ready for an action item summary?
Just
Or
one
did
more-
you have another comment?
Yeah, just during that last heavy rain, I grabbed Councilor McNair and we did go around and just for our background, we did look at Bear Creek because it was coming out of its banks in between Madison and Jefferson, like always. And we looked at that and looked at the other culverts and they were like, man, there's still a lot of culvert left on these. So, but we also took a drive and went up and did Quarry Hill, just, because finally you got water running and see where it is and where it's going and how that one little collector ditch back there on about second, I think. It's not very wide or very deep, and so if we start shoving more water off that way, that's definitely going to have to be addressed. It was interesting. We're driving up to Halem, and there's a beautiful ditch on the south side of the street.
no water in it.
Hardly any water at all in it. And we're like, how can this be? We get up there to 4th Street, and the ditch above it was running a fair amount of water and going into the storm drain. And we're like, it's going in the storm drain, but it's not coming out this side and coming down that ditch. And we think we figured it out. I would want to see actually where the pipes are in the ground.
So it's the one put in for the 4th Street houses, that storm drain?
That one that goes across the street and hits the other new houses on 4th on the north end, and then comes underneath the road and goes in that funky ditch.
Yeah, I'd have to look at the plans of what
Yeah.
they did under there.
Yeah, they must have bored under.
So it goes underneath Nehalem?
Under Nehalem continues out north on 4th.
It's either that or it's going into the,
Either that's going to the sewer.
you can hear water just flowing through that sewer.
Oh, gosh.
I don't think so, though, because we went on out 4th on the north end, and there's usually houses have the gutter drains come to the ditch at the street. Well, there's no ditch on the street on the uphill side. So what we're thinking is they ran that pipe across, a collector pipe, all the way and collected off those homes.
Oh.
Except for the one on the end. It did have pipes coming out with water pouring out and a ditch there. But then it comes back underneath the street. I think Milton Dennis built a house up there years ago. And in front of that house, there's this funky ditch that's made that keeps on going to the north. And there's a pipe and a lot of water flowing, and it goes off into probably piped over into the ravine there.
Weird.
It was weird, probably nothing bad. But as far as capacity on down Nehalem, we got tons of capacity in that ditch.
Yeah.
So I was surprised they did what they did, so. But whatever. But it was interesting just to drive around and kind of see where things are at, and you kind of visualize a little bit of the bottlenecks where we could be if we start disconnecting roofs and pushing more water. And, yeah.
Okay.
Well, I'd like to thank the Public Works for patching Arkansas. There was a big hole out there. Somebody we all know fell down, rolled down the street the other night, but it's a nice patch on there today, and you can pass that along to them. It's appreciative. It about tears your car apart going through there. So, and then I know it's on the thing to be paved next summer, but I was wondering, are we doing anything for drainage? Because there's a lot of trees there.
Arkansas has specific storm drainage upgrades.
I'm worried about the tree roots. Is there a plan for that? Because if we dig, I don't know if we're digging on both sides or...
You know, I haven't looked at exactly what their plan is for the upgrades. But they went up and walked it and discussed how that was gonna go down, and I didn't get in the middle of that for Public Works, so I can ask what the plan is. Because there is a good boulevard of trees there, so it should be cognizant of that.
Of course, we all know about that ditch down there on Texas. The other day when it was raining hard, we were all out and about looking at stuff. That ditch wasn't as full as before because there was a pipe added, but I don't know. Anyway, it wasn't it overflowed across the street into the house at the alley across like it did before into their garage, but that's just from running right down the alley behind my house. So.
Oh, Holt or Winningstat.
Yeah.
Right below.
Yeah, no, it crossed Texas. The water crossed Texas.
Yes.
At the intersection, it just went right into that people's carport.
Yeah.
Because you'll see the gravel scattered all over. So when it rains hard, I don't know what you
Yeah,
can do.
well, he put in a French drain on his side, but really what needs to happen is Texas all the way through to the ODOT, but we gotta fix the corner of the highway so it can collect it all and take it. Does that make sense? So it doesn't cross Texas?
Yeah, I was wondering why it didn't drain, if you went down my alley and made a left, like you're heading toward Stephanie's house, somewhere down there, why it doesn't cross the road and head downhill toward the school and pick up to a bigger system, but...
It does cross there by the Jehovah's Witness.
But it has to go a little bit uphill to get there.
It has to fill up in order to get there.
Oh.
Yeah.
Because the grade goes just up high enough.
Well, anyway, it did seem a little bit better this time, but when you get that heavy downpour, The water's running right down that alley and not really in the ditch, so it just crosses Texas, so.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Takes a lot of gravel with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Were you able to get a hold of Waymaster on that timber sale out there?
No, I didn't talk to the weighmaster. They did call him and get a hold of him for that.
Uh-huh.
Because they called me back and said that they figured out what they were required to do.
Did they tell you what it was?
They're thinking of coming bridge now, not Rose.
Oh, so they're gonna come off the top?
Yeah, so right up the cemetery, right up, notice that logging gate's been open.
Yeah. Really?
Well, how's the fence project coming up the cemetery? I haven't been up there.
It is not, we're waiting, they just put the posts that go into where our, basically the beginning posts. There's 3 there that show where our driveway is gonna be, but they have not done any of the deeper ones because it's so wet and getting the concrete to cure. And Alan's participating in that and he's still finishing the house, so.
He's coming right along on
Yeah,
that.
looks nice.
Siding on it, looks nice.
Yeah, I knew that it'd be spiffy in no time when I found out who bought it.
It looks good.
Okay, moving on to the action item summary.
All right, so the next meeting, we're gonna bring to you guys the different options of how name designations have happened so that you can determine what council wants to do in the future and with the West Point area. Staff's gonna put forward a request to the Jamboree Committee for a bark cleanup plan to be part of a regularly required part of their system. We're going to bring you the draft ground lease and the ordinance also that kind of laid out what the plan was for the airport hangar leases and the box walk for electrical. Anything else?
So on that action item for the bark collection, so there's no other issues with any of the other places that's kind of involves this, in terms of cleaning up and putting it back to rest, huh? Just garbage. So was it just at the logging show that there was a garbage issue or what?
No, it was at Spencer.
Spencer? So it's maybe something that we, should establish right off the bat with all of them, right across the board, that there's certain requirements that...
Well, no, they know there are. When they fill up the special permits and do their map of the areas that they want to use, they just had, and they have a good group that goes and walks it. The problem with the garbage at Spencer was they did a pretty good job getting it out of the field. They just didn't have anywhere to put it, so they piled it outside of the dumpster instead of taking it to yet another empty dumpster.
Right.
So Jamboree's looking at having a kids group that after the cleanup happens, if there's bags there, they'll load them into a truck and find another dumpster to put them in. So they're,
So other than this bark issue that's must be ongoing, that's just something that needs to be clarified.
yeah, so they'll just have to roll it in and have it be a duty they hire out a group to do,
Yeah.
like they do with the other streets.
The garbage issue I saw was Saturday, right after the parade. My wife and I helped Greg. They had a lot of garbage boxes down at Spencer Park, and they weren't being used. All the food was down at the swimming pool. The trash can at the pool was completely overfilled all over the ground. The trash can at the top of the stairs above the swimming pool was completely overfull and on the ground. And the trash can at Gary Myers was overflow on the street and all over the ground.
Okay.
And the food ones at the food cart area were completely full, and the dumpster was full, overheaping. So it was like, we didn't have the capacity we needed where the food was.
Yeah, I've seen that in the past.
That was Saturday.
It got cleaned up, I think Saturday night. They come through and picked up a lot of stuff, but it was getting blown around in the wind. Well, we did have a lot of people that year.
I got roped into doing garbage patrol one year, my wife, and it's something you have to be pretty timely and on. I mean, you can't just do it once a day. It's not around that,
I'd say around-
not around that food cart.
The food area, it kind of needed to be policed probably.
Or the capacity level needs to be increased for the
Yeah.
cans or something.
People would just set it on top of a garbage can. It's
Yeah.
already 2 feet above the top, and
Right.
walk away and there blows all over them.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing too, is in the past, we've covered the city cans because they do just keep shoving it in there, and we'll cover it with a box so it's not usable, and then put boxes all around it so that you don't end up with that problem. That's probably what they didn't do. It was not as an excuse, but it was a very new jamboree committee that probably didn't get the hint, like, hey, cover the can that's a pain in the butt to empty and surround it with easy cans. And then,
Yeah, I don't think anybody's trying to knock our jamboree committee. I think it's
no, I just been saying, I
observation.
didn't want to sound like an excuse, but I know they didn't do that. And we had done that in years past, and it kind of solves the problem, because if there's a not full can, someone will throw it in the empty, or the almost, something that can take it.
And that's what we did. We grabbed a couple of those paper ones and just took them down there to Hawkins Park, right by the swimming pool, and put a couple of the paper box ones with next to the full city cans.
Yeah.
And people were
The
using them.
disbursement, if you don't know where the action's happening, sometimes you'll see a can sitting out there, no one's even by it, and it's sitting there totally empty the whole weekend.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, you have the overflow in the other areas, so maybe some more strategic placement of those.
It was like from the mini mart down to Hawkins Park, it was like the most garbage, I think, from the parade people and everybody eating food.
Okay. I'll add that to their bargaining plan.
Just setting expectations for the jamboree committee that, when they're done with it, it should look like it was when they started, So, there's nothing wrong with setting expectations, actually. People usually meet them.
I agree.
Yeah.
Okay.
I wouldn't-
Anything else? Okay, I'd like to adjourn this meeting at 8:28 PM. Meeting adjourned.